Hi, welcome to this episode of Global Minds Unleashed, Norms Unleashed. I am joined by my co-host, Emily Dobson, as always, and we are also joined by our guest from the University College Roosevelt in the Netherlands, Denise. Denise, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, actually. Yeah, thanks, Sam, and thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Denise, this is a combined podcast between Emily and I. Emily working on GeoSwerve,
Mhm.
which works really well for the Netherlands. And I run a shed, not like a tool shed, Denise, but the state of higher education discussion, in which we gain tools to equip ourselves to better support international students. One of those ways that we want to better support international students is to help them, their parents, the education world in general, think about options maybe they hadn't thought about before. Maybe something outside the norm for them. And thus, we wanted to highlight the University College of Roosevelt, or the University College of Roosevelt, and the University College system in the Netherlands. And Emily's going to have some questions for you. I'll have some fun questions for you. But before we begin, can you tell us just who you are and what you love about higher education, and the briefest of two sentences about UCR, because we're going to get deeper into it.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So as you said, my name's Denise. I'm not going to even bother with my last name because it's horribly Dutch. I'm the coordinator for global student recruitment and admissions at UCR. I've been there for, gosh, almost 11 years right now. And I work with all of our incoming students from basically the moment they start thinking about university and high school all the way until they are actually on campus and ready to start their classes. So I see a lot of students in this journey as they make their choices, the things they're worried about, the things they're concerned about. So, what I love about that is actually the growth that students go through, finding something that they're passionate about, finding something that clicks for them, just helping the next generation on their route through education, I guess. Um, and that's also what I love so much about UCR. It is a place where students can really grow and find their passion. It's a liberal arts and science institution in the southwest of the Netherlands, 600 students, highly international. But we'll talk about it a little bit more in a second, I guess.
Wonderful. Thank you for not just your care for the students as they enter UCR, but as they progress through and as they grow. And you said grow, and I think about the tulips of the Netherlands, and they are probably growing now in April.
It's a little early still.
Okay.
Give it another 2 weeks, and yes, all those colorful fields will be out there.
Oh, wonderful. Someday I'll experience that in the flesh, as I say. But we are going to move on to Emily. She's gonna ask you a series of questions that will give our students and parents a real good lens into what UCR is, and how it works and how it might work best for them. So, Emily, over to you.
Denise, hi. Good morning. What time is it over there?
It is actually 2:30 in the afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Um, Sam and I were talking before you got on about outlining the differences right away between the university college system and like the research university, because we think that's a really big factor in kids making decisions. Would you mind going over that with us a little bit?
Absolutely. So I think the research universities are probably what students and families are most familiar with when they start their university search. It's a traditional academic environment where students go for book learning, critical thinking, doing their own research and learning an academic discipline. In the Netherlands, those are 3 years as opposed to 4 years in some other parts of the world, but they are really for the students who like to know why things are done the way they are done, um, the traditional university institution, basically. Um, the university colleges are a subset of research university institutions, or actually research university programs, if you even want to call it that. They're all linked to a larger research university, and they differ from a main research university program, I would say, in two significant ways. One very much being the academic program that students would study, and two, the setup of the colleges. So, talking about the first, the academic program, normally, if you're going to look for a university in Europe, you have to be pretty sure what you want to study because you're applying for a specific program or a specific major, if you want to call it that. So if you're going to study biology, that's what you're going to do for 3 years. If you're going to study psychology, that's what you're going to do for 3 years. So the curriculum is pretty set. There's some space for electives in each of these programs, but not the variety of courses that you would find maybe in other parts of the world. So the university colleges have actually adopted that liberal arts and science curriculum that you would find mostly in North American institutions, where there is a bit more flexibility in sort of figuring out your major as you go, where there is a bit more interdisciplinary learning in the curriculum. And that's the kind of program or the kind of educational philosophy actually that the university colleges have, as opposed to knowing exactly what you want to do from the start. So that's the first big difference. The second big difference is really the setup. Beyond sort of adapting that liberal arts curriculum from the US, they've also adopted the college system as you would find it in the UK. So this idea of a small academic, but also social community that you're part of, where it's all about conversing about ideas, where education goes very much beyond the classroom, but also is part of your day-to-day activities and day-to-day conversations with your peers. And that's also then been integrated into university colleges. So they're small, 300 to 900 students overall, classes of about 25 students usually, so interactive learning. And then that whole idea of the community is also sort of propagated by the idea that we have residential campuses. That's not the norm in the Netherlands, but the university colleges have, to some degree, campus housing available for students to promote that idea of a community and being part of something beyond just your academic classes. I think these are the two sort of defining factors for university colleges.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Okay, off the cuff, you don't have to answer if you don't want to or if you don't know. But for these, because smaller schools, right? These are smaller systems. How many applications are you usually getting, and has that changed in the last few years?
So first of all, I can only answer that for UCR, of course. We get about 600 to 700 applications for 200 spaces. Okay. So it's not hyper selective as you would see in some small schools in other parts of the world, because we are still an unknown destination for some students, right? I think it's similar for other colleges in terms of ratio. So obviously the larger name schools will get more applications, as is normal in the world. The smaller ones will be more like us, where there's sort of 1/3 to a half of the students that apply that get accepted. In terms of growth, I think, yes, we've seen a growth in applications. I think that's something we've seen across the country, both university colleges and regular research university and University of Applied Science programs. It's been exponential over the last 10 years, and it's not slowing down.
It's not slowing down coming from Brazil either. I've got news for you. But that leads me into another question, Sam, then I'll throw it back to you, and then I have my last question for her. But Sam and I were talking about, and you were on for some of the call too, the difference in the education systems might require a bridge coming from high school in some places and getting into college in the Netherlands and even UCR. So you know that here in Brazil, many of our kids are on the national school system, which has 3 years. But there are some ways to bridge that gap for students that may not meet all of the initial requirements. Can you just outline some of those ways to bridge?
Yeah, I think it's very important to understand that the Netherlands has a binary education system. That is definitely at the higher education level that we're talking about. We've talked about research universities. We also have universities of applied sciences, which are a different way of looking at education and are much more looking at how to do things. It's applied. So for learners who are looking more how to do something, that is something we also have in our high schools. So we have already a subdivision in high school as to what kind of diploma a student gets and what that then leads to at a higher education level. So what we do when we see international applicants come in is we compare. How does your diploma compare to our high school system? Is it 4 years, 5 years, or 6 years, which is the case in our case? So the first thing I would say to that is I think there is actually a higher education option for everyone in the Netherlands. It might not always be a research university straight away, but it might be that the universities of applied sciences are actually a much better fit for a particular student if they happen to not meet research university requirements. That's the first thing I'm going to say to that. Then second, in terms of making up for deficiencies, if you want to call it that, for research university entry requirements, two things students can do really. One is attending university in their home country for a year, complete the full requirements of that first year, and then apply to a research university in the Netherlands, or do a University of Applied Science year here in the Netherlands, and then use that credential as a way into research university. It wouldn't be a transfer application. It wouldn't be a foundation year. They're really starting in that University of Applied Sciences, but that gives them a credential that can then be seen as equivalent to what we would ask for in other ways.
No, that's very helpful information. Sam, I see you thinking over there. I see those wheels turning.
No, I really, Denise, this is interesting. I remember when I first heard about the university college system, and I don't know if it was UCR, but I was in Hong Kong at HKIS, and I learned about it, and I thought, well, this is great. Probably because I'm drawn to the words community that you kept, and interactive, and I really appreciate that, and I greatly appreciate that you have framed all of the Netherlands as there's a place for everybody, right? Just you have to figure that out. You mentioned that the University of Applied Sciences was really about the how, and that the research universities was kind of like the why. Is the university college system more about the social? It's not more about the social, but you said the how and the why, and I'm wondering what that word would be, because to me, the reason I ask is students, when I was in the school setting, they loved computer science because they wanted to do computer science, computer programming. And our computer science teacher was brilliant. He made them do like 6 weeks of humanities, like current events. And the kids who don't want to do that would drop out because they just wanted to code. And he said, at the end of the day, coding doesn't mean anything unless it impacts the lives of others. So I kind of see the how and the why of the applied sciences and the research, and the social, like, community as the university college system is a way to kind of bridge that and build out a better society. But now I've kind of answered the question that I was actually asking you, so I apologize. Research why, applied sciences how. What would you say for the university college side?
Well, the university colleges are honors programs within the research university structure. So they are very much about the why, but they are more explorative in a sense, where indeed students can do combinations, can approach maybe a topic from different disciplines. They're not stuck to the sort of disciplinary borders that we see. And especially when you go outside in the world, we all know that the world isn't divided in economics, politics, coding, what have you. It's all a combination of these things. So it tends to be why students need to have an interest in theoretical learning, but it needs to be an interest that crosses traditional disciplinary borders.
You said that, okay, so a couple times you've said that they're kind of part of the research university. So what does that look like? So now, so it's an honor system inside the research university, but it's like its own little bubble where you can do more interdisciplinary work, and you don't have to choose. You have to choose right away. Like, do I have to say I want to study psychology when I come to you? No.
No. So this is different from college to college. This is where the real variation lies. They all have liberal arts. They all have a focus on community, but how they do it is very different. So ultimately, the research university is a degree granting institution. So if we're looking at international rankings, potentially, if we're looking at how a diploma is valued and portable after the degree, that's the name on the piece of paper that you get. Often, professors are hired through the main institution. But what you'll see is that in some cases, the main institution is very integrated in the main campus of the university. In some cases, like at UCR, we're actually not in the same town at all. We're 2 hours away from our mother institution. So the day-to-day feeling of the college is really that small school, small town vibe. And this is also where I would really recommend students and families to do their research. I mean, if they like the idea of the university college educational system and model, that doesn't mean that all 10 university colleges are going to be a good fit for the student. So yeah, I think that's kind of hopefully answering your question.
No, that's great. Who's your mother? Who's the mothership for you guys?
It's Dutch University.
Okay. I actually did not know that. I should have known that. Sam wouldn't know that. Why, Sam? Why was what was I giving you shame about earlier? What did I tell you that you said you got super excited about?
Well, Denise, and maybe this is the type of school I was in Hong Kong. I don't know. I didn't know about the counselor boot camps. And so Emily was giving me a hard time that I didn't know about these boot camps. And she was also asking if Emily, you had another question about the boot camps, but
yeah, but you tell us about the boot camps. Then my question, I love them, and I post that to you all the time, right, Denise? I'm kind of obsessed. It's a highlight of the year, Sam. But Denise will tell you if they're happening again and how you can get invited. And my next question was, do you ever plan on doing a boot camp? Because it's so just spectacularly well done. I mean, the unity between the Dutch counselors and your Facebook forum and stuff is awesome. It's how I model some of the LATAM stuff, actually. Community. Will you ever do it in that sense for students and parents as well? Is there like an expansion plan in process?
So first of all, thank you. This was sort of our brainchild during COVID.
I remember.
We always talked about doing an in-person conference day, tacked onto a main conference somewhere. And then COVID happened. So we thought, well, let's try this online. And it was such a success that we continued doing it for counselors, and we'll continue to do it for counselors probably every spring. So we promote that indeed in our Facebook group. We promote it on our counselor newsletters for each of the institutions that are part of it. And we also promote it on our website, which is the DutchUniConsortium.nl. So that would be your way to go. As for expanding it for students and families, it's not on the table right now, as there are some conversations about limiting the active student recruitment that universities do in the Netherlands. So it's a conversation tabled at the moment.
One of the things that I learned, Sam, this is my last one, I swear. One of the things that I learned in those chats, and that you guys have repeated every year, is that to study in the Netherlands, there has to be a level of independence that may be different from other places we may geoswerve. What kind of student fits well and not just survives but thrives at school in the Netherlands?
Yeah, well, the independence is a huge factor to proactiveness. In the Netherlands, children are raised to be super independent from a young age. When I was 12, I would go to, that's when I started going to high school. My high school was 11 kilometers away, and I would bike every single day there and back. And that is completely normal here. That's so normalized that is also what you'll find in educational institutions, that they're expecting students to be able to reach out for the help. It's there, but we're not going to chase you with it. So I think that sort of independentness is so integrated into our society that we sometimes forget that this is not normal for students coming from other parts of the world. What also is the case is that the Dutch higher education institutions are they are first and foremost educational institutions. We're not allowed to own housing. We don't have nurses or doctors on campus. All of that is arranged separately from the university. So students need to be able to deal with the bureaucracy of that as well. So the independence goes a bit further than just being able to live alone and away from the family. It's going after what you need.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Definitely something that we bring up when we talk to kids that are going to places that may require a little bit more self-advocacy.
Yeah.
So parents, teach your kids to do their laundry now. It's never too early to start.
Laundry, cooking, how to budget. All
jokes aside, it's serious, right?
It is serious.
It's really serious. I was just looking at budgeting sheets provided by colleges. Those are fantastic things to look at before you go to college, and so many colleges do them. I mean, there's just all kinds of little activities you can do to get ready. Sam, are you ready?
Yeah, well, I am ready. Yeah. Denise, 11 kilometers biking each way. I'm guessing was physical education also part of the school, or was it already provided for you in okay. You already had that. And then the last phrase that you used, I love, and I've got three boys that I'm working like the 11-year-old made dinner last night. I continue to make sure that they know how to do all of that. My wife is fabulous at making sure that they are more independent. Um, going and going after what you need was a phrase. And can you talk about like that more generally in the Netherlands, going after what you need, or is that a UCR? Is that just something that students should do?
They should. We have all the services available that you would expect from any university, whether it's, our visa offices or international student offices, whether it's mental health facilities for students and workshops and what have you. All of that is available to the student, but it's not spoon fed to students. So they'll have to go on our internal web pages. They have to go into their student handbooks to find out how things are done. And if they can't find it, reach out. That's within the framework of the university, but also in figuring out just how to live. Yes, of course, we'll make sure that you're registered with the municipality. Of course, we'll make sure that you at least know how to set up a bank account. But how do you get your first bike? What do you do when your bike gets stolen? These kinds of things. There's so
Yep.
many resources available, not just in Dutch, also in English, but they're not going to be spoon fed to you.
Yep. I like it. I like it so much. I always would end my senior seminar with the most important two words for you are, or not two words, I guess, but ask for help.
Yeah.
Ask for help. And then what you're saying, go after what you need. And I was talking to my kid today. I was like, you need to do what you need to do before you do what you want to do. Like
Exactly.
need trumps want. So we are going to spend the last couple minutes of our Norms Unleashed doing a fun little activity.
Sam's favorite part here.
It's a fun part. This is our wheel. We had real questions, and now we have wheel questions. So I'm going to spin this wheel here, and we're going to probably have time for two of these just off the cuff answers that you have. First one being, ooh, teach us a fun national language phrase.
Go.
Love it. Okay, so Dutch is notoriously bad for pronunciation. I already mentioned, let's not bother with my last name. But there's one particular phrase that we try to make foreigners say, and if you can pass it, that's when we know that you actually speak some Dutch. It doesn't mean squat, but it just the way it sounds. It's 88 groene kacheltjes uit Scheveningen. Yeah.
Can we break that in? Can we break that into like parts?
88
88. It's call the
Groene.
doctor. What?
groene
88
kacheltjes.
groene.
Yeah, kacheltjes.
Kacheltjes.
Gesundheit.
Good.
See, you have some practicing to do.
How do we get that sound, that guttural sound?
It's practice. I don't know how to teach that to you. It's something I've grown up with. But I always love it when students actually manage to pronounce this after a year or two being in the Netherlands.
At least tell us how to say your last name. We got to get that one.
Sure. It's Nijhuis.
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 Right. You're on the way.
Well,
it's pretty.
The good thing is that we have this on recording so that we can practice our Dutch phrase, and Denise Nijhuis will be able to impress you in maybe a year. We have time for one more wheel question. Probably not impress, actually, but we're going to do our best. The next wheel question. Oh, that was exciting.
Wow.
We almost were learning about a department, but what's the best food near campus? You're 2 hours away from the mothership, as Emily said, but what's the best food near your campus?
So we're right in the center of town, right? So we have all the bars and restaurants and cafes within walking distance for students. So I'm going to cheat and mention too. There's one right across the university that's an Italian sandwich shop that
Oh,
does just the most amazing fresh sandwiches every day. There's long lines out of the door every day. We also collaborate with them. Some students work there. It's a great. And then
deli style sandwiches?
yeah, deli style sandwiches.
Oh,
And so the owner travels to Italy twice, 3 times a year to bring back all the best stuff, and it's amazing. Very,
Mm.
very nice. And my second is going to be Honey Pie, which is like a tea shop cake kind of place. So um, when we get to exam season, we see a lot of students going there for like a little tea and coffee and a nice piece of cake while studying.
I love that. I love that you covered the big hearty sandwich, and then the tea for relaxing.
Yeah, we
That's
need both of them,
great.
right?
You need both of them.
Well, I'm glad I got to talk to you. I needed some Denise today. It's been a while. You're always so awesome to talk to. You're just so intelligent with the way you deliver your information, and you're always so thoughtful. And the team that surrounds you, the collaboration is as well. I mean,
Yep.
when I think about different places in the world I want to go and I see something like that, and that community is really um, available to all, I would consider for sure letting my daughter apply to the Netherlands. So I hope you stick around for a while.
That's the plan. But yeah, I'm super lucky with my colleagues at the other Dutch universities and the way we are able to collaborate and provide better information to everyone out there. Ultimately, there's as I've said before, right? There's a place for everyone, and not every university or every institution is for every student. So this works for all of us.
I love that. That's great advice.
Denise, thank you so much for sharing with us that wisdom that you have about the interactive and community UCR. And an Italian sandwich shop and a sweet tea are on my list for when I make it that direction at some point. Maybe a physical boot camp after the virtual boot camp. But parents, while you can't take part in these boot camps, know that your counselors are learning, and know that the counselors see the camaraderie between all of the Dutch university system, and we know how much they, as a team of recruiters and educators, care about making sure that every student succeeds in the right institution, whether that be a university college system tied to a research university or to an applied sciences university. And so,
Well,
Denise, thank you so much.
thank you. We're going to have you again, Denise, with more questions and more real and wheel questions.
Well, thanks so much, guys.